going on, everyone? It's the Canvas Café. I'm Matthew Dyer. Today we have a very talented singer joining us. She hails from Bristol. I'm fortunate enough to be working with her on her upcoming debut album, and she's also the first artist to sign to Canvas Entertainment. So I'm pleased to welcome Scarlett Fagan. You all right?
Hello, yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. All right, so let's get straight into it. There's a lot to talk about. So obviously I've got to know you over the last few months working with you on your new album.
Mm-hmm.
But for those that don't know, who is Scarlett Fagan?
I am a singer. I typically sing soul, but occasionally sing jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I live in Bristol, from London originally, but currently residing in Bristol.
So what prompted the move to Bristol?
So after I lived in London, I lived in Devon, and there's not a lot going on in Devon. So when I was 21, I just moved to Bristol. I'd heard there was a pretty good music scene, and yeah, it was just like a change because the rent in London is very unaffordable.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Whereas the rent in Bristol is still affordable.
Yeah.
And so I live in Bristol.
So I didn't know there was a music scene in Bristol. Is it like hipstery and very artsy?
There's certainly that edge to it. I mean, there is a few big names that have come from Bristol. Massive Attack are from Bristol, and Portishead, who actually I think are just from Portishead, obviously, which is not far from Bristol.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a music scene. There's a very big dance music scene, reggae. I haven't experienced much soul. Although they do have a jazz festival. I don't know. There's a scene.
Yeah, one time I've been there and there was like this carnival. I think it was the Notting Hill
Yeah,
equivalent.
St. Paul's.
Yeah. I've been there. It was all right. It was a few years back. So when did you realise you could sing? When did you realise, I've actually got something here?
I always have sung, and that's partly because my mum, I don't know, she sings a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I would just wake up to her singing in the kitchen. I'd be like, oh, God, shut up. But yeah, so I've always sung. I don't know when I thought that I had something. I can remember like a few things as a child. Like I applied for the part of Annie in the school play, and I didn't get it, and I cried, and then everyone laughed at me because I cried. They were like, why are you taking this so seriously? But yeah, I had a little cry.
Yeah.
And
Their loss.
Aside from that, people just always told me. I don't know if I would have known that I was a good singer if people hadn't have gone on about it.
Yeah.
Like, I was lucky enough to meet some friends and stuff like that were on my back about it. Like, Scarlett, you've got a really good voice. You have to do something with it. And my singing teacher as well, who I'm now quite close with. I just had loads of people on my back.
Did you not believe them, or did you think you weren't as good as what they were saying?
It was kind of a mixture because I thought I was just like rubbish at everything. But with singing, I knew I could sing in tune. But I don't know. I was just always too scared to sing.
Yeah.
But I think it did get to a point where, although I'd been so scared for so long, it did get to a point where I was like, no, I do have something, and I do want to show the world.
Yeah. So when did you then make that transition to say, okay, well, actually, I want to take this seriously, and I want to do this as a career?
There was like a real gradual thing for me to get to that point. I think the age where I remember being like, okay, you really have to get yourself together was 24. And then I was like, two guys that I was singing with in a band, they sat me down and they were like, look, you can sing with us for as long as you want, but we think you're better than this. So what are you going to do? Are you going to go and study music? Are you going to like do this? Are you going to do that? And at that point I was kind of like, do you know what? 24.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. So it's about time that I started taking it seriously. And even then it was like little steps. I joined a band. I set up a fan page for myself. Just little things like that. But prior to that, moving to Bristol was initially just because of music. Although it took me a while to find people to perform with. Yeah, I would say 24 was the big thing where I was like, okay, you know, you've done your late teens and early 20s, you've wasted a fair amount of time. Now is the time for you to really take yourself seriously.
Yeah. Was there a moment where you needed like a bit of guidance, a bit of a push? Because I remember in previous conversations you mentioned that your mum had to give you kind of some guidance.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that, because for me, I go through phases where I'm extremely motivated and very confident, and then phases where I just think I'm rubbish.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like a constant, like up, down, up, down, up, down. But a few people have kind of given me a bit of an intervention. My singing teacher, Kate Graham, she's been the one that's really pushed me the most. My mum is kind of like, at this point, my mum's actually just scared. She's like, what if you get famous and you have paparazzi like Amy Winehouse? What are you going to do? And I'm like, Mum, calm.
Yeah.
Calm down.
It comes a bit though,
Yeah.
isn't it? You know?
So, yeah, I feel like, yeah, my singing teacher, Kate Graham, she's given me many interventions.
So I've noticed as well in previous conversations, your knowledge of like 50s and 60s artists and like the subgenres of like soul, you're very knowledgeable when it comes to things like that I've picked up in previous conversations. Is that like through your own curiosities, or is that like from family? Was your mum and dad like, you know, heavily into music and things like that? You come from a musical background, or was it just that's you doing your own research?
So I come from a musical background in the sense that my mum and dad are both obsessed with music and always played so much music when I was a kid. Neither of them play instruments, but my dad did used to be a DJ, actually. Okay. He used to play disco music. Yeah. My mum listened to a lot of Motown and soul when I was younger, and my dad, he listens to that stuff too, but all of my memories of my dad are just listening to loads of dub and reggae, like driving through London in his van, a van which just stank of building materials because he was a builder, obviously. And yeah, so just playing all these old reggae stuff. So I know quite a lot about reggae as well, but yeah, soul, listening to my mum's Motown Chartbusters CDs. I used to like make up dances and stuff, and just embarrassing things like that. So yeah.
As a producer, I have to find a unique voice, you know, to work with, whether it's for my album or, you know, their album. And I definitely feel that you've got that, a very unique voice. You know, you see a lot of singers online and they can sing, you know, and that's cool. And I'm envious of anyone that can sing, because I can't. I wish I could. But the gems with that unique voice, you don't find them often. So I do feel that you've got that. The only person I can compare you to, and it's not a bad thing, is Amy Winehouse. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. And I mean, I love Amy Winehouse, so it really, you know, it's a compliment.
Yeah, it's not a bad comparison to have, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge compliment. And when I first was singing like more regularly, my singing teacher actually banned me from singing Amy Winehouse songs because it got to the point where I was almost like morphing into her a little bit. Right. So I was banned from singing her songs for a while, and that was good because that allowed me to then completely develop my own style. Which is important. So yeah, I get that comparison a lot, and it's always welcome. Yeah,
but this is the thing though, with that comparison, do you feel extra pressure to create your own lane, because it's not just the voice, it's obviously the type of music as well.
Yeah.
So do you feel extra pressure to stand out as Scarlett Fagan? Or do you not care?
I don't know. I suppose it's definitely a thought that's been in my head, because as an artist you want to be known for whatever your style is, but you know, whatever that is, it's always going to be heavily influenced by whoever you listen to. At the moment I don't feel pressure to prove, you know, that I'm totally different from anyone I'm compared to, because I can see where people are coming from, but when I listen to me singing, I don't hear Amy Winehouse. So yeah. It's just an obvious statement people are going to make, though, isn't it? Yeah, for sure.
I just wondered, sometimes you might feel, oh man, do I really need to change everything drastically? So there's like no link to that, but if you don't care, you don't care.
No.
So what would you say is your style then?
I've always said that I'm a soul singer. I have sung jazz as well, but yeah, I've always said that I'm a soul singer. When I've gone through like, because I play with a jazz guitarist sometimes, and as much as I love listening to jazz, I don't feel as comfortable singing it.
Really?
Yeah, I find it more difficult, actually, which has been good because it's always important to challenge yourself. And I think me singing jazz for a little while actually helped to develop my voice from what it was even like 2-3 years ago. But yeah, I'm a soul singer. That's always what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you write your own music, so
Yeah.
I really appreciate artists that write their own songs. What would you say is your kind of themes that you write about? Are you type of singer that will always write from, you know, real life past experiences, or can you just make up a story? Or, you know, what's your themes? What do you touch upon?
I've always, even before I started songwriting, I always wanted the songs that I would write to be completely honest.
It's the best way. It's because
Totally.
Yeah, you can't get more authentic than that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there are times when not all of it's about you specifically. It might be about someone you know.
Yeah. But it's still real, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still real, but like that's just a bit like I find myself a bit conscious sometimes. Like if I'm writing about you know, someone that I know, are they going to know that I've written this song about them? Because on this album, I genuinely have written about people I know, and I'm just like, you know, I'm just a bit worried that, you know, the cat's going to be out of the bag.
Okay, probably wouldn't notice it, but it doesn't sound like you're writing about anyone else. It sounds like you're writing about you.
Well, I
So
did. I mean, mostly it is about my life experience, or like with the Sugar song, it's like that is, well, it's not about me because the lyrics aren't about me. It's just more of a letter to me.
Yeah. So I was gonna touch upon that. So Sugar's the song that Scarlett's gonna be performing. You'll see that performance in the next upload. So yeah, talk to us about that. What does that mean to you, and what inspired you to write that song? That's a song that's gonna be on our upcoming debut album.
Yeah. So Sugar so far is my favourite. Before I started writing it, I actually really wasn't in the mood to write any songs, but I knew I had to get it done. And I'd been like scrolling through Instagram and I was comparing myself to loads of people and I was feeling really rubbish. And I just thought, I was feeling really rubbish, and I just thought, well, I'm just going to write a really sad song about how shit I am. And then I thought, no way, because like I don't like feeling sorry for myself, so I was like, no, turn this around and, you know, make it a positive message, because particularly, you know, 2020 has been a rough year for a lot of people. I think now is the time to be writing songs that actually mean something, that can
empower people,
people, inspire people, you know, all of that stuff. So I turned it round, and it's kind of like just a letter to me or anyone who's feeling like they're a bit rubbish because they've been comparing themselves and they're not where they want to be in life, and that's frustrating. So this song is kind of like a remedy to those feelings.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song, honestly. Like when I first heard it, just the first word, I was like, you know, just blown away. So yeah, honestly, when you eventually hear this, you're gonna love it. Is there any areas that you struggle to write about? Any kind of vulnerable topics that you're not quite confident to put out there yet? Even if people don't quite know it's about you, you just feel like, no, I can't put it out. They might put it together and it, you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I struggle with being too vulnerable. Like if I do write lyrics that are about something personal or just me feeling a bit miserable, then I'll always find a way at the end of the song to twist it around and see it from a different perspective. Mostly because, as I said, I don't like feeling sorry for myself. So I don't want to write a whole song that's all about me feeling, you know, stupidly sorry for myself. So I usually try and turn it around. And I think, that's better.
But it's not bad to write about those other emotions.
Do, but I wouldn't want to wallow in it for the whole song. So what I try and do is just be super, super honest. And part of that honesty is being like, well, everyone has these feelings and this is how sometimes you turn it around, because most people do turn it around, you know. So, So yeah, I think vulnerability is tricky, but I would always push myself to write a song
Yeah.
about that, just so you're being completely honest.
Do you ever doubt yourself when it comes to songwriting?
There's some songs that I find really easy to write, and they just happen. Like the Sugar one, it just happened, and it was so easy. But there's other songs where I struggle a little bit more, and I'm like, oh God, this is rubbish. But then I'll send it to you, and you're like, that's really, really good. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, because there was one song. Again, it's a song that's going to be on the album, and you will eventually hear this. We haven't got a final name for it as of yet, but it was something along the lines of "All Good" or "All Right," something like that.
Was it the one that was recently? I think I called it Booze and Coffee.
No, it was one of the early ones that I sent you, and you sent me back a demo version.
Oh yes, and I haven't got back to that one
no,
yet.
it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing it, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I think months later, I think you said, oh, I think I'm going to rewrite it.
Yeah,
because I was like,
and I did, and you were like, no, it was really good before. So
I was like,
yeah,
you keep that first version.
Yeah,
It was
I
really,
will.
really good.
Yeah, because that was kind of a lovely one, but like from the perspective of my grandma and granddad
Yeah, I
when they
remember.
first
Yeah,
met.
that's what I really
so-
liked about it. Yeah,
Yeah, and like, when you're performing something that is completely honest, it changes the performance completely. There's this performance of Amy Winehouse singing Love is a Losing Game. I think it's at the Mercury Awards. And she is singing it, and she's so vulnerable on stage, but it's captivating. And so if you've written songs that are like, that make you feel a certain type of way, that's going to come through in your performance. So
100% agree.
yeah.
Do you have like a favorite place to write in?
I used to, but not so much now. I used to get in my head about, well, if you're not there, you can't write. That you just can't write in this place if it's not there.
I can't do it then,
Yeah, that place used to be my mum's house. My mum lives in Glastonbury, and she lived in this house, and the room that I used to stay in, you could see the Glastonbury tour. And, if anyone's into like spirituality and stuff, I'm telling you, the energy in that house was really good for songwriting. And then so I would be at my house in Bristol, and I'd be like, I can't do it. The energy's just not right. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Just have to stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then I wouldn't, which was very stupid. Like
Yeah.
now, if I feel like I'm not in the mood to songwrite, which I don't know, often I'm not in that mood, but I know that I need to do it, and I know that I want to do it. And then when you get something good, then you're in the mood. So now I just force myself into it. If I'm feeling a bit low on energy, I'm like, right, have a coffee. And also what I do before I songwrite, which can put me in the mood completely, is I listen to loads of soul or live performances of like Jennifer Hudson and people like that. Really emotive stuff. And then I'm like, right, let's write a song.
This is when you said sometimes you have to force yourself. I'm like that as well.
Yeah.
Because there's times where I just don't feel like doing it, but I know that it's got to be done. If I'm not going to do it today, am I going to do it tomorrow? Who knows? So let's just do it. Just force yourself to do it.
Yeah.
And it might be shit, you never know. But
at least you kind of took the time to
Yeah.
do it. And I think like it's difficult to get into the space, but once you have come up with something good, it's almost like that, just like build your confidence a little bit, and then you're fully in that mood. So yeah.
So what do you want from your career? I mean, I obviously, like I said, I've got to know you a little bit, so I know how ambitious you are and where you want to take it. But again, for those that don't know, what are you trying to achieve with it?
I mean, yeah, I am pretty ambitious. I would, the main thing is I would just love to be paid a very decent wage for doing something that I absolutely love
To do.
And music's such a funny one, because you start off doing everything for free, for exposure, which doesn't pay your rent.
No.
So that you have to work in jobs that you don't really like, and that is quite honestly soul destroying. It sounds like an exaggeration for some people, but honestly, it is soul destroying.
I know the feeling. I mean, when I used to do a part-time job in a call centre back in my younger days, I would wake up and thinking, is this is this what life has to offer? I was so like just down. You know what I mean? I knew.
Oh, I know the
yeah,
feeling.
you're
I
doing it
cried in the toilets a few times.
damn.
Call center.
Yeah.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, and it's the people on the other line that makes it worse as well.
Yeah.
You're thinking, okay, let me just get through this shift. You know, I'm doing this for a certain reason, get my money, I can pay for studio time, blah, blah, blah. But then you can sometimes get that really shitty call and it just,
Oh
it
my
ruins
God.
your whole day, doesn't it?
Ruins your whole day. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm someone that can just brush things off. And sometimes I can, but if I'm in a bad mood already and someone talks to me like I am a piece of shit, I will just, that's it, whole week ruined.
And I'm the same. I do try and just brush it off, but I internalize it and I let it get to me when I shouldn't.
Yeah, because it's like a big thing. It's like, first of all, you're already doing a job that you don't enjoy. And, you know, you're desperately trying to make this other aspect of your life work. And that's really hard because it takes a lot of confidence and you've got to really put yourself out there. And then, you know, you're in work Monday, someone is very angry with you about something that is not your fault.
Yeah, not in your control.
And they can be very condescending, which gets me more than someone shouting, to be perfectly honest. Because then I come out of that situation and I'm like, oh my God, but I should be a singer. I shouldn't have to put up with this. I don't like doing it.
And it's most likely not your fault what they're ringing up to moan about. Do you know what I mean? It's maybe someone else or just the company as a whole that done something and you're just taking all the bullshit, you know?
It's awful.
Yeah.
I just want to be a singer because I do feel like that's what I was put on this earth to do. I've been singing since I was very little, been obsessed with music since I was very little. And I just want to be able to go after something that I love so much with as little fear as possible, and eventually have it as my full-time career.
For real. How have you transitioned into kind of, say, beginning performing when you were younger to performing live now? You know, what's the difference between then and now? Are the nerves still the same?
Not the same. It really depends on the environment. Like, if you want me to perform in a pub, I'll do it, and I will not even need one drink before because I'm so used to it now. But when it comes to more intimate gigs, I still do get nervous. But yeah, the nerves, it's a weird one. They've subsided a lot, but they come back every now and again. And it always surprises me because I'm like, no, you should be over this by now. But, you know, nerves for me, if I'm performing, result in a lot of shaking. My knees shake, my shoulders start going, like, it's totally nuts. Like, I performed at my cousin's wedding in Sicily, and we were in this really fancy hall. There's an Italian town mayor thing. It was very intimate and very intense, and I couldn't look. I was like singing the whole time that everyone's here and I'm just like looking this way, just like, and my whole body was shaking. It was horrific.
Was it
but
visible?
Apparently, well, they couldn't see it, but I was like, how could you not see it? Like, my whole body was literally like this. Like, it was totally nuts. So yeah, but then I thought I'd got over the nerves recently, and then like just out of the blue, I went on a Instagram live singing competition, and I got really nervous doing that. And I was like, but you're in your bedroom.
But it's because it means a lot to you. You know?
And it was with a Radio 1 guy as well. So I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. So if you weren't nervous, there'd be a problem, you know? So I think that says a lot about how much you want it, you know, which is a good thing. How do you want to be remembered? You know? One of the greats.
Yeah, obviously. Ego's like, come on, you'll be an icon.
But you can.
Well, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I have different opinions about it. Like, sometimes I'm like, but I would like to be someone that no one knows. But then other times I'm like, nah, everyone should know me. And I don't like being that person. But I would just like to be remembered as a very friendly, honest person. And if I can have some kind of positive effect on even one or two people, then that's great. Like, the Sugar song is written for people like me who have moments where they feel a bit rubbish, and that song hopefully will make them feel better.
I know you enough to know that it's not coming from a place of look at me, I want
Yeah.
attention. You just want your music to be out there to
Exactly.
at every single corner of the globe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to inspire as many people as possible. What can people expect from the album?
I would say genre-wise, it's all soul with a hint of jazz. And it's soul from different eras, because obviously, you know, D'Angelo is soul, but also Aretha Franklin and Sam Cooke are soul, but they're just different eras of the same genre. So it's like a bit of a mixture. And the one that I finished recently, Booze and Coffee, that's kind of got a disco-y Motown vibe to it. It's either going to be like super emotive, but there's also a few cheerful ones on there as well. And my song Waste Man is absolutely hilarious. Bit of a feminist anthem, if I do say so myself.
Great track.
So yeah, it's a mixture, but it's all soul with a hint of jazz.
Okay. I remember we had a conversation as well when we were doing a rehearsal, and I thought it was refreshingly honest, and we kind of touched on it earlier. You said sometimes you get jealous of other people, but I know that's not coming from a place of bitterness. You just want to, you feel like you could be there where they are, because you feel like you're just as good. How do you combat that though? How do you kind of unwind and think, okay, my time will come?
It is really difficult, and jealousy is just the worst feeling in the world. It just feels nasty when you feel jealous of someone. Oh, I hate it. I'm getting a bit better at dealing with it now, and I think that's only because I've been so productive with the album. If I had nothing going on, I would probably be ridden with jealousy about other people. But being productive helps me combat that, to be quite honest. But I think, part of jealousy is like, it's something that you're missing. But like, when it comes to music, if I had nothing going on, if we weren't writing this album, I'd feel more jealous. But that would only be entirely my fault, because I can't blame like some young star when I'm not doing any of the hard work myself. Like, what do I expect to gain from doing nothing? So, being productive is a really important way to combat jealousy, because, I do have a voice that I want people to hear. And now it's important for me to have my songs out to back that up. Okay. So, yeah. But yeah, jealousy is horrible. Yeah. Ugh.
But you are being very productive. I mean, we've, for people that aren't aware, I feel like we've got a great album, coming your way, and Scarlett's written some amazing songs. So it will be well worth the wait, and I'm sure they'll definitely enjoy it. I wanted to ask you though, because again, a conversation that we've previously had about major labels. Do you feel like pressure to conform, and say if a major label did come your way and they said, okay, but we want you to kind of make it a bit more like this, maybe a bit more pop friendly or whatever, how would you deal with that? What would your response be?
The thing is, even in the past, when I've tried to fit in, like even just in school, I was still sticking out like a sore thumb. So like, I don't know if I'm very good at fitting in. I
can't even imagine that being the case anywhere. I mean, you've got such a unique voice that it would just be a crime for anyone to try and shape you and mold you into this way or that way.
I'm quite stubborn as well. So well, I don't know if you're stubborn or not, but I just can't see it being successful. Do you know what I mean? Someone trying to say, no, I think you should do it like this or do it like that. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think it's time for another soul singer anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, since obviously the passing of, Amy Winehouse, I don't think we've had anyone that's quite replaced her. No. No,
so
definitely not.
I think it's time for that anyway. It's time for this sound. But I was going to say, that leads me to my next question. Can it fit into this era?
I think it always can. Yeah. I don't think there's an expiration date on soul music.
Good music is good music at the end of the day.
Always work.
Yeah.
And, there might be some people that see it as niche. And, compared to, pop stuff that gets played on Radio 1, maybe it is niche. But Amy Winehouse was the perfect example, where she brought all of these old things forward and it was totally consumed by, the public. So I think it's always going to be around. I'm not worried about that at all.
No, yeah. What can you work harder on?
I think I could be a little bit more disciplined when it comes to songwriting, although I've already been working on that, so it's not as much of a big issue.
Okay, so bringing it back to the early years, do you remember the first album you ever bought?
I don't. I always, like, even obviously before CDs came out, I was listening to tapes. But like when I was really, really young, like Mum used to take me to Woolworths to get a tape, and I would pick out things like Britney Spears and Spice Girls. I was in the Spice Girls fan club. But when I got older, albums that I remember listening to over and over again were Motown Chartbusters, which was my mum's. Then I had this Essential Blues and Soul one, which had a real mixture of things on. That was my mum's again. And I remember I was in Ireland with my dad, and he bought me a Gwen Stefani album. Yeah, I loved Gwen Stefani. Yeah, I had that. I really loved that. But yeah, those are the only things that come to mind.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about your top 5 influences or top 5 favorite artists of all time. No particular order.
Okay. Well, my favorite female singer is Aretha Franklin. When I listen to her, oh my goodness, she is just so unbelievably incredible. And it's like when you listen to her singing certain songs, particularly gospel, it's just like, I can't even really put it into words, but it's just so soulful, and it's come literally from her heart, and you can hear pain, but it comes out so clear. She's just amazing. So she's my favorite. And Amy Winehouse, obviously, Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Just all people like that, really. Yeah.
Stevie Wonder. I mean, my favourite album of his, Songs in the Key of Life. I mean, just an amazing album. But it's all the other songs as well from all the other albums. There's so many hits. Sometimes you forget just how many hits the guy actually had, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Blind as well, and could play, obviously, the harmonica, but the drums as well. I didn't realise that until recently. So yeah, he's definitely in my top 5. He's dope.
Ray Charles was someone that I listened to a lot when I was a kid as well. My mum had a Ray Charles album, and like, I don't know if you remember, but when you used to get a CD, like, you would only know 1 or 2 songs, and you would just listen to those songs on repeat. And like, I used to never really bother learning about the other songs, but then eventually, like, the longer I had the album, I would then learn all of the other songs. And like, Ray Charles' album was one of those for me, because my singing teacher had me singing Hit the Road Jack, or someone else did, I can't remember. So I started off only knowing Hit the Road Jack, and then eventually I started listening to his other stuff. And yeah, he was a pretty big influence.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially that film, Ray. Christ.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
amazing.
You see the good and the bad, don't you?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he's like seriously like talented. And I say this all the time to people, like, if I can be half as good as those type of people, you know, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, you know, I'd consider myself, you know, really great. So, yeah. But so going forward, not to, you know, speak too much on the future, are you the type of artist that would want to switch it up, you know, do something experimental, you know, drastic, or, you know?
Part of me is kind of like, well, you should push the boundaries a little bit, you should experiment and stuff like that. And I know that that's probably something my mum would be pushing me to do. But as I said, I'm quite stubborn. And I don't know. It's like soul's always been this genre of music that's really inspired me, and has inspired me to even want to sing or be a songwriter in the first place. So it would seem weird to me to try out something different.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing something different just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
You've got to feel it.
Yeah. If anything, what I would like to experiment with is mixing soul with reggae, because I love reggae.
Yeah, I know you're a big reggae fan.
Yeah, so that would be something I'd be happy to like mix up a little bit. But it would, if I was going to experiment, it would still have to be something that inspires me. Otherwise, what's the point?
No point.
Yeah.
Well, I think my followers, if they're anything like me and they like the type of music that I like, which most of them do, I think they're going to love your sound. And I can't wait for them to hear it. I can't wait for your followers to hear it. I can't wait for the whole world to hear it. You know, it's something that obviously been working on for a while, but I think that we've really got something, you know, great.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for it to come out. So really excited. And thanks again for coming down. today.
worries.
Really appreciate it. The next upload is going to feature the song Sugar, as I spoke about. So, please stay tuned for that and keep an eye out for that. So you've been watching Canvas Café. I'm Matthew Dyer. This is Scarlett Fagan. We out.
Your vision.